Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Mollie Carmichael with Zonda's Inspirational Leadership Series, joined by the industry's best in all things real estate. These leaders are literally designing our future for many generations to come with new communities, home designs, technology, retail centers, infrastructure, and so much more. This series is about who they are, how they got started, who inspired them, and their journey to the top. So let's get started. Today, we are joined by Shravan Parsi, the Chief Executive Officer for American Ventures. You might also know him as the author of The Science of the Deal. It was featured by 4 books. A great name. You'll learn a lot more about Shravan and why that's so important, but a little bit about American Ventures. So currently, American Ventures has managed over 15,000 units and acquired several thousand units with a sizable portfolio of multifamily and commercial. He's been an investor in real estate since 2003, but the company really started investing in 2012, and you'll learn more about that too. They have a planned pipeline of acquisitions in the future for about 300 million plus. He's a true entrepreneur. He's involved in a lot of things, and yet he still finds time for many philanthropic efforts like, this is one of my favorites. I just love this. Fathom USA, their mission revolves around educating underprivileged children so that every child is in school and learning well. What better contribution can any individual or organization make? Shravan has a really interesting story, and I don't want to steal too much thunder here, but it really is a true American story. So please listen to the whole thing. I think you'll really enjoy it. I think you'll love Shravan. And I think you'll see, based on everything he shares, it's really just the beginning for this company. So please join me in welcoming Shravan Parsi. Thank you for joining us today. We are here today with Shravan Parsi with American Ventures. Shravan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Molly. I'm honored.
Well,
Thank
let's
you.
talk a little bit about you, your company. I just, so you're the chief executive officer of this big company. Tell us a little bit about the company and what you do, what your daily role or what your average day looks like. Share a little bit about you.
Yes, I'm the CEO and founder of American Ventures. American Ventures is a commercial real estate and multifamily, both development and operating company. We mostly build, operate, and hold on to these assets, some of those assets for long term and some for short term. We typically partner with private equity groups, institutional investors, as well as high net worth individuals, and then we co-invest our capital in all of our deals. And we're very focused in Texas, being very close to Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, the biggest 4 markets of the US, are well within 2 hours of our distance.
So, Shravan, if you were to give yourself another title other than CEO, what would you say the title is of what you do in your company today? Is it strategist? What would you say that is?
Oh, I think I can come up with 3 or 4. Like, I think chief strategy officer, as you said,
Love it.
chief passionate officer, as you said, or chief la la land, and at the same time, chief, an intern.
Invent the future and right and continue to learn. I mean, I love intern as a title too, because we're all learning every day. That's a great title. You wrote a book called The Science of the Deal, right?
Yes, and we
So
trademark it.
yes. So tell us how that came about, and if you were to kind of give us an overview of what that book's about, given your background, now knowing that you were a pharmaceutical scientist, tell us a little bit about that.
No, I think it's an opportunity that fell in my lap, more so than me trying to figure out how to write a book. So in fact, I always thought only retired people will write books, but that wasn't true.
No, not at all.
And yeah, that's right. But basically, that was my mindset. So I never thought of writing a book. But when somehow, being part of a pretty big investment club, when they saw my story, they said, one of the founders of that, like, wow, you have an incredible story. You grew up into, you have the trademark for the word American Ventures, and you weren't even born here, and then you moved to US, and then did your grad school, and then how did you even get the name of American Ventures trademarked? Then he asked, what does American Ventures do? When he read the story, or when he heard the story, man, have you ever thought of writing a book? I said, oh, wow. Okay, never. But the person that asked me all these questions is the founder of the Forbes books. In fact, it's funny. It happened because we were both going in a Ferrari to eat at a dinner, at a group dinner. And then this conversation happened in that car. Then I said, what are you doing next week? And then they interviewed me. Then they created a summary and sent it to Forbes. And they gave an approval within like 48 hours or so. Then that started the story of the book. The book is a clear case study, examples that I have to go through building from a no apartment complex to 4,000 units in the multifamily space, and did the full cycle, owning, operating, selling, and then all the challenges that came up. And then I'm a believer in open AI kind of a style where
Me too.
let your knowledge be out, and then someone can make even much better use of you. And I think that's the whole idea. So I was, without any filters, I shared my entire knowledge in the book.
That's pretty impressive. So going back to sort of how you applied that, or the storyline behind that, that's really how you built your business. Is that fair to say? That book really kind of talks about not just the art, but the science of how you built American Ventures. Is that right?
That's correct, in fact. And it's evolving. I think if I had to come up with another edition in 2 years, I'm sure it will have a lot more stories. But in essence, that's exactly what the book was.
So you need a part two.
I'm sure. Hopefully, somebody takes on that.
Nice. Well, I'm sure there's more stories to come, as you mentioned. Well, let's talk a little bit about you and your company. Tell me what you love most about your job today.
Yes, I think we do have a couple of mission statements. One of them happens to be invest confidently for investors. And when these investors want to diversify and invest in a lot of our deals, co-invest with me in some of our deals, I get to meet some incredible people. Their stories are, I have my story, but every investor, every entrepreneur has their stories, the goods, bads, and uglies, all of it. And then when you open up and talk at a personal level, interacting with them is one of my greatest pleasures by being the face of the company. On the flip side of it, the other mission statement we have is quality housing for the great working American. So when we invest in B and C apartment complexes, which are mostly for blue collar workforce, even though we do invest in Class A apartment complexes too, the quality housing for the great working American, we want to provide and build these amazing communities where people want to feel that they're owners of those places, be great tenants, and give them the quality lifestyle. And then I'm more heading in that direction with a lot of new developments. So I think buying a piece of dirt to seeing an amazing community, I think that's another thing that makes me like, wow, this is impressive. After a while, Mollie, it's not about money. It's about what you're leaving, what kind of impact you're leaving.
And it's so funny, but I do a lot of studies throughout the whole country. And that is something that I remind every client of mine is, as we look at this investment, it really is something you're going to leave behind for 500 plus years. I mean, I love hearing that from a CEO. That's just is so meaningful, I believe. Well, let's talk about when you're choosing leadership. What are the top ingredients you're looking for in your top leaders?
In fact, I started listening to the masterclass. It's an app where you can download, pay $15 a month or so, and then you get to hear some great stories. So I started watching Indra Nui's leadership class on that one. So in fact, I haven't seen anyone summarizing the leadership that well so far. I'm sure there are, but I didn't come across. She put everything under 7 C's. The different C's. I think I don't remember by heart, but it could be as simple as curiosity. It should be as simple as communication, curiosity, and then I should have at least rehash those before the interview, but they're slowly coming into my mind. What are the 7
Creativity
C's?
has to be one of them,
Yeah,
right?
creativity, absolutely. And then there's a C called citizenship. Like, be a good citizen in
I like
whatever you
that.
do. So we support a lot of local charity organizations, both at the city level, as well as, back in India where I grew up, and at the national level. When I saw the C, the citizenship is be a good citizen, play your part in the community. Like, wow, that I haven't seen that as a leadership quality everywhere, but when somebody put it and outlined it, that was pretty cool. And then that may be making me inspire, like, you know what, we should donate at least so much this year. And you feel good about it.
Well, that's so funny because you could apply that too to so much in your
Yeah,
life, right? Be a good citizen in the office, at home, in
that's
your
right.
community, in the country, in all of the countries. That's huge.
And one
Well,
of the other
well,
C's is competence. That's like, every person needs to know what they're good at. I think years ago, I
absolutely.
decided I'm not going to fix my weaknesses. I'm going to hire to fix my weaknesses, but I'm going to just sharpen my strengths. And then when I heard something similar from a big leader, like, wow, I did okay then.
That's pretty, yeah, no, absolutely. Well, as we're wrapping up, tell me, was there a turning point or an opportunity that you had in your career that really made a big difference? And then the same question for you on the back end, the biggest challenge you've ever faced in your career.
Yep, those are tough questions, both of them. And
Yes.
the turning point was when I was doing my own investments with my own money and a small scale investments, and then having a full time job. I was complacent in what I was doing, and then even though I switched to full time real estate investments, the complacency that was there for 2 years before I launched this American Ventures platform, I regret wasting 2 years. But at the same time, the turning point was making this big step of, let's grow this platform to much bigger, and then let's not only, create wealth for yourself, create wealth for others. I think that's kind of a turning point, and then that laid the foundation for, American Ventures. And then years down the road, now we are in the 3.0 version of our company. I think this is going to be my legacy version. We did great turnaround, great returns, but I think what I do now will be what I'm going to be, in the future. So I think I'm in that 3.0 version of our company. And the biggest challenge, gosh, there are quite a few challenges. There are quite a few tough situations that, even though 95% of our deals did great, over 70-80% of them well above projections, the 5% of deals that didn't do well, they taught me everything. And in fact, there's a chapter in my book where I basically highlighted the two worst deals, and then I ripped it apart. This is how we should have done it differently. These are the mistakes. I'm owning up the responsibility, and these are the conditions that were not favorable. And above all, the day we were closing that asset to sell, there was a lightning struck on the property. So like, gosh, like this is
No
this is incredible.
way.
Like, how can that even happen? Then we found a way not to push the closing out. We came up with a solution, and we still exited. So it's okay to cut your losses and move on. Let somebody else see the opportunity and tackle that. Then just put your good money on bad money. So in fact, I dedicated a chapter on that book about the couple of bad deals we did. And then hindsight, I'm well prepared for the next one. When that happens, I'm very well prepared. And no matter what, not all deals can be good. I think that I basically, it's in my brain. So that's why I always underwrite a deal with there's always a fear in me. What can go wrong? I think that fear, if I'm flipping it, it became a positive guiding principle for me. I have fear. I have fear, but that fear only should help me overcome the challenges that we may or may not see.
But you touched on so many important lessons though, Shravan. And this last one, I think learning from your mistakes, I can't tell you how many times I have experienced that in my own life. And when you learn so much, but you first have to take the chance to then have that, 5 to maybe 10% learning opportunities. then you've really got to look back at that to move forward, right? Well, as we're wrapping up, top 3 qualities you look for in your leaders.
I think that the confidence
Mm-hmm.
in any leader, because if you want to really, I think that there's different ways of explaining confidence, but if you're very good at it, you're
Mm-hmm.
automatically confident. I think that's what, because I invest in other people's companies. I think more than investing in a product, you invest in the people. I think that confidence. And I think the citizenship I was talking about earlier, I think I also want to see the personal side of every leader. You could be an amazingly successful guy, but if your kids hate you, your wife hates you, what's the point? So I
Right.
think
I
I think you need
agree.
to have that that balance. And then you said third one, I think not every person, because this is something I'm going to tell my nephew too, because he's applying for colleges now, and is the curiosity. I think you brought it up very well. Like, be curious about everything. Okay, if you want to take he is volunteering at a hospital. His free time where, like, covering the front desk, uh, and then, like, be curious, like, what are they doing on that, like, how are they responding, curious at everything. And I think I should have been a lot more curious on my not so great years of my life. I think those are the three I can think of.
I love it. I love it. Well, this you may end up with similar answers, but tell me the top 2 or 3 influential people in your life or most inspirational leaders that you come across and what the top qualities you see in them.
Yep. I think these leaderships, or the leaders I look for, keep changing to the influencers. I think if I had to
Sure.
take the top three, believe it or not, this is a personal story, but how my wife took the last years, birthing a child, and then going through the extra level of keeping the baby at the expense of, not everyone appreciates that, but having
Sure.
grown up in Indian culture, women have the highest respect. They always call it goddess, goddess of wealth, goddess of everything. But birthing a child was existential thing. My leaders keep changing, but I think she stands on the top, especially having gone through that phase. It's fresh in my brain. Not everyone can do it. Not everyone, that's. And then the second is, I'm going to still keep it to the family, is my dad and mom. What they did, like, if it's American Ventures today, is because of the principles they gave me years and years ago. And then in the current world leadership, I think two people stand out a lot. Elon Musk, mostly because he's taking on industries and disrupting the age old tradition. When NASA rejected him, private space travel or private anything on space launch is unheard of. He putting his last dollar, he was on a negative net worth, to come back to being there. That's a true inspiration. But he's disrupting the automobile industry, he's disrupting the tech industry, he's disrupting the space industry, and now the transportation industry with Boring. So, and one person can do it. So if there's going to be a 2 trillionaire in our lifetime, it's going to be him. More than money, it's all everything that he did. And then the other one, I like Richard Branson, mostly because he was a showman to a businessman to what he is doing. But at age 70 plus, I want to be like him. In fact, I want to be that fit. I think it needs a lot of grit and courage to maintain that lifestyle, because you can't do anything you want in life, but you chose to be this and you fit at it, and you fit than me playing a sport today. That's like, wow, I want to be like that. So I can think of those. So my mom, sorry, my wife, my mom and dad, and then Richard Branson and Elon Musk.
I love that you put it's so sweet that you put your wife and family first. I mean, that is so perfect because what better role is there, right? But then to help shape and mold and lead, this our future, which is, your son and the future sons and daughters of, the world. And then your parents who shaped you, right? And then but I love that those are all above, SpaceX and all the stuff that is happening in this whole other world where they're just trying to kind of invent the future. I mean, there's there's so much opportunity. Well, Shravan, it has been such a pleasure to get to know you and everything that you're doing. I have no doubt whatsoever that you're going to continue to create success in the future and keep changing the world. I'm looking for your version of SpaceX and that next invention, now knowing all the stuff that you've done. Or maybe that could be your son. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us. I can't thank you enough. It was such a pleasure. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Mollie. It's pleasure, and also your interview style got the best out of me, and you're very eloquent, and I think the way you paced these questions were incredible. So I felt good about myself today because of you.
Thank you again for joining us. This is Mollie Carmichael, and I hope you enjoyed this series. Please hit like if you like today's broadcast and subscribe if you'd like to hear more from the best and the brightest in our industry. Take care, everyone, and I hope you join us again next time.